Coffee is a caffeinated drink that is made from roasted coffee beans. Even though they're called beans, they are actually seeds from coffee cherries. The coffee plant can be grown as bushes or small trees. We call the seeds green beans because of the shape and their greenish hue prior to roasting. Following the Earth's equatorial zone is something called the coffee belt. This is where coffee grows best and predominantly where most commercial coffee is grown. The belt produces optimal growing conditions for coffee plants, including rich soil, mild temperatures with plenty of rain and sunshine. Some well-known coffee-producing countries within the belt include Brazil, Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, Kenya, Ethiopia, and India, all producing unique types of coffee. The two dominating varieties of coffee grown along the coffee belt with very different qualities are Arabica and Robusta. Robusta is often described as having a burnt rubber, earthy taste, which is due to the higher caffeine content and lower sugar concentration when compared to Arabica. Arabica coffee tends to have a natural, slightly sweet taste that isn't as harsh as Robusta, leading many to prefer the taste of Arabica. From a farming perspective, Robusta is easier to tend, has a higher yield, and naturally deters insects with its higher caffeine content. Robusta's bean shape tends to be rounder with a straighter center split, while Arabica's shape is more oval and has a wavier center split. Many of these factors cause Robusta to be the cheaper alternative for farmers, but ends up sacrificing some quality. Today, many roasters prefer using Arabica beans, which is evident when looking at cultivation. About 75% of the world's coffee production is Arabica, and only around 25% is Robusta. Typically, Robusta is used in instant coffee or blends in order to add caffeine and a more intense taste. Arabica beans are generally used for single origin coffees. Overall, tasting notes of coffee have a lot to do with how the beans are processed. Once farmed, coffee beans must be processed, which involves removing the outside materials surrounding the seed. This greatly influences how the coffee will taste once brewed. There are three main processing methods. First is washed or wet processed. After the coffee cherries are picked, the skin and fruit are removed from the bean. Then the beans are left to ferment before being washed with water. Next, they are set out to dry, which can take place on raised beds and patios. Tasting notes on washed coffees tend to be fruity, citrus-like, and clean. Next up is natural or dry processed. First, cherries are picked and laid out to dry slowly, and then the fruit is stripped from the bean. Coffees of this process tend to be fruity and berry-like. Last is honey processed. Known as honeyed coffee, the fruit is first removed from the bean, leaving some pulp still attached, then set out to dry. It creates a coffee with a natural fruit note and creamier mouthfeel.
Coffee facts and trivias. Coffee beans are technically seeds. They're the pits of the cherry-like berries found on the flowering shrubs, but we call them beans because of the resemblance to legumes. The world's most expensive coffee can cost more than $600 a pound. The cat-like creature eats fruit including coffee cherries, but is unable to digest the beans. You can overdose on coffee. Don't worry, you would need to drink about 30 cups in a very short period of time to get close to a lethal dose of caffeine, Vox reports. Finland is home to the biggest coffee lovers. The average adult Finn goes through 27.5 pounds of coffee each year, according to the International Coffee Organization.